college basketball, celebrating our 25th season.
Welcome to Gallagher-Iba Arena here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, where tonight ESPN Basketball in HD, presented by Phillips and Best Buy. What a game we have for you for top spot in the Big 12 Conference. It's the visiting Kansas Jayhawks, the perennial powers in the Big 12, against the upstart Oklahoma State Cowboys, who have only lost once in league play. Same with Kansas, same with Texas. This league is wide open right now. Hi, everybody. Dan Shulman and Dick Vitale playing hurt tonight, folks, here in Stillwater. The last time you were in this building was 9 years ago. That's the last time this Oklahoma State program went to the Final Four. They're starting to think they might get back there this year.
You know, they're really under the radar. Not many people have talked about them. They're 17-2. They're so efficient offensively in their half-court game. In fact, right now, they're one of the top teams in America. Field goal percentage, better than 50%. And the guy that makes them go, John Lucas, yes, the former Terp superstar son, has been a dazzler.
We're going to see two of the best point guards in the Big 12, two of the better point guards in the country, in Aaron Miles and John Lucas tonight.
Aaron Miles, you cannot measure him in statistics. He is such a leader. I know so many times you talk to people like Roy Williams and Bill Self. They come back with the same answer. You love having him on your team. He's flat out got a winner's mentality.
Folks, this is one of the loudest buildings in America, one of the most highly thought of environments in America. And ask the locals, this is one of the biggest games they've had here in Stillwater in many a year. Kansas in blue, the Cowboys at home wide with the opening possession.
I'll tell you one thing, Dan, I couldn't agree with you more. This environment is as good as it gets. It's unbelievable. We've been here early for over 2 hours. This place has been jumping with joy.
3 transfers in the starting lineup for Oklahoma State, including the point guard, John Lucas from Baylor.
Can you imagine Baylor if they had Roberts and Lucas?
Joey Graham, another transfer from Central Florida, and the Cowboys take the lead.
Joey Graham, good athlete, very versatile. Average about 13 a game for the Golden Knights in Central Florida with his twin brother who's on the bench, Stephen.
We'll see Stephen Graham later on. Aaron Miles posting up of all things. And the rebound to big Ivan McFarlin, who's got a big job tonight against all these Kansas big men.
And he's coming off a big game. He's a shot blocker inside. Good low post player as well.
A lot of balance for Oklahoma State.
Lucas very effective with the basketball, penetrating.
Here's the shooter, Daniel Bobick, and it's 5-0 Cowboys.
Bobick can shoot the 3. They're very efficient using the 3. They don't use it that often.
Another transfer, he's from BYU, a team that beat Oklahoma State. Now a block and transition, but Allen turns it over.
Kansas, if there's a different look from last year, just a little bit different in terms of running the ball after a score.
Yeah, a little bit different under Bill Self, of course, than they were under Roy Williams. By the way, Bill Self, the head coach of Kansas, is from Oklahoma and played at Oklahoma State and was an assistant here as well. He got a very warm ovation before the game. Here's the FedEx starting lineup for Kansas. Wayne Simeon had a monster game Saturday against Texas Tech. 22 points and 17 rebounds.
They're going to really have to try to defend him inside. That's going to be a big, tough assignment.
Keith Langford, good show there by Joey Graham, pushing him out on the perimeter.
Langford's really improved his perimeter game shooting the basketball. Conference play shooting 46% from the trifecta.
Simeon picks up the loose ball and drains the jump hook. Jayhawks are on the board.
They're going to have a tough time matching up with Simeon on that low block.
Here's Bobick, and Giddens wisely out on him. Got a piece of the pass, and that forces the turnover. And what do we got? Steve Wellmer, who's in charge here tonight, says a held ball to go over to Kansas.
You know, Marco Polo, man, they got all these transfers. Eddie Sutton, what a brilliant job he's done everywhere he's been.
Look at the FedEx starting lineup for Eddie Sutton. Again, the transfers, Joey Graham from Central Florida, John Lucas from Baylor, Daniel Bobick from BYU. But they're an experienced team, juniors and seniors. Even Coach Sutton says he is shocked they are 17-2 at this point of the season.
He's shocked also with the play of Lucas. He said he's a lot better than he thought.
How about Aaron Miles?
You know, Miles with the penetration, incredible look. He's averaging like 9.9 assists his last 8 games. Been very effective distributing the ball. He's a winner. He gets everybody involved.
Tony Allen for 3.
They can shoot the basketball on the road against Texas A&M. They shot 69.2 in the second half. Unbelievable shooting team.
Oklahoma State has the best field goal percentage in the country at 52%. Lucas, great recovery there by David Padgett.
Padgett, a diaper dandy who they really believe is going to be a major factor. He's had a lot of foot problems.
Now Kansas gives it right back.
They're always looking for the high percentage shot, always making that extra pass.
Tony Allen feeling it, his second consecutive tray.
Let me tell you this, Dan. Tony Allen was here last night by himself. We came over, my son-in-law Thomas and I came to the building to take a look at it, to see this historic arena. And who was in the building? Tony Allen. And then he went by a monitor and he watched Duke play Clemson. All by himself, he was shooting.
You talked about how they don't shoot many threes, but when they shoot them well. They've already made 3 of them here tonight.
What they do with the threes, the way they utilize the three, they'll utilize it with inside-out action, and they'll use it in their offensive set with some screens, but they just don't come down, run to the three-point line, and jock them up like a lot of clubs do. And what a great win tonight for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Without Francis, I mean, you got to give a salute to Mike Brey. That club was on the ropes, and that loss is devastating to Connecticut as far as a #1 seed.
You can see the OSU shooting the last couple of games, 63% up at Iowa State, who had been unbeaten at home. They beat Kansas a couple of weeks ago when the Cowboys are 4 for 4 shooting the ball here tonight.
That's the kind of start you want if you're Eddie Sutton. This crowd is alive. Go Pokes is their cry. J.R.
Giddens, the freshman from Oklahoma City, misses the 3. And now John Lucas of Oklahoma State is called for the foul.
You know, you think about the best player in the Big 12. Obviously, right now, most people would cast their ballot for Andre Emmett. He's been steady all year for Bob Knight's Texas Tech Club. But I'm telling you, Lucas is coming on strong. He is really going to make a run for Player of the Year honors.
In the last 7 games, all of which the Cowboys have won, he's averaging 19 points per game and shooting 60% from beyond the arc.
And also controlling the half-court game and putting pressure on a basketball defensively.
Now we got a foul on Kansas. It'll be Keith Langford picking up his first. Of course, his dad is the great John Lucas, NBA player, outstanding player at the University of Maryland, who comes to all the home games here in Stillwater.
Great tennis player as well. In fact, he won the NCAA Division I National Championship in tennis. I want to get a match with him. He's a left-hander.
How about his son on cue?
I'll tell you, his son and Lawrence Roberts going to Starkville and Stillwater. Think about it. Both clubs really off the radar because of where they're located. But both get a great helping hand from Baylor.
Jeff Graves into the game for David Padgett now for Kansas.
Graves, a guy that certainly has some ability.
There it is.
He showed that ability in the final game against Syracuse at 16 points, 16 rebounds. He has been his biggest enemy. He has been his biggest dilemma. Work ethic, getting within the team concept. I mean, there's no reason this guy shouldn't be a major factor on the interior.
That's the second foul on Joey Graham, so he's going to go out. And Jason Miller will check into the game for Oklahoma State. Graves has been late for a shoot-around, missed a practice, suspended for a game. He also is incredibly foul-prone. If he can just stay on the floor and stay out of trouble, he's going to be a huge contributor for this team.
Joey Graham as well gets in foul trouble, and it reduces his minutes. Sean Sutton told me that today in a conversation, who, by the way, should be the replacement ultimately when his dad decides to step down. He's been a really great lieutenant here for 10 years.
Eddie Sutton with 741 career wins, closing in on Fog Allen. Now Allen turns it over, and Keith Langford, watch out for him, but a block. I think that was McFarlin who got back and got him.
It was McFarlin in transition defensively. An outstanding shot blocker throughout his career.
Good look for Bobbitt. A little bit short, but he runs down the miss and draws the foul, and I think it's Graves.
Bobbitt's dad played for Eddie Sutton at Creighton. He did a great job with the Blue Jays when he was at Creighton. He and I used to speak at clinics. We'd get $100 and we were happy.
A solid start for the Cowboys, and the fans are loving it here in Stillwater.
They did it!
The NCAA Women's
ESPN's exclusive presentation of NCAA basketball, presented by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. And in part by genuine Ford and Lincoln Mercury parts and service, only at your dealership.
Great start for the Cowboys here in Stillwater. Big Monday presented by Bud Light. Oklahoma State up on Kansas by 7. Let's bring in the third member of our crew here tonight. Where in the world is Doris Burke?
Dan, I'm seated up here in the southeast corner of the arena next to a chair that is permanently reserved in memory of a man John Wooden once referred to as basketball's greatest friend and finest gentleman. Coach Henry Iba, 767 wins during his illustrious career, 2 national titles, a Hall of Fame induction. And I'll tell you this, guys, the innovations and influence this man still exerts remains potent. Mike Krzyzewski simply calls him the greatest coach in the history of the game. And Dan, earlier today you asked Eddie Sutton before the game, hey, will you play any zone tonight? He said, if I do, Coach Iba will surely send a bolt of lightning to convince me otherwise.
And he pointed right up at that chair when he said that. What are your thoughts on Coach Iba?
He was the father of defense. When he spoke, everybody listened. He was like E.F. Hutton.
Lucas for 3. Oklahoma State cannot miss.
I'll tell you, Lucas has really improved his range as a shooter. He's become so effective from the perimeter, and that just adds to his quickness and his penetration ability.
The Cowboys are 4 for 5 from three-point range. Now, a steal by Allen. He's got Bobbitt.
Oh, what a great play to get it back.
Now Lucas with a pull-up. Got it.
Oh, is he feeling it? He's in that zone, baby. He's in that rhythm. Another TO by Bill Self. This place is special. This is like exactly Cameron Indoor Stadium. $30 million renovation. It is so exciting being here. This is one of the great places for a youngster to want to play. John Lucas told me before the game, when he made his decision to move and transfer, when he played here, he loved the enthusiasm and spirit, and that helped him to make his decision.
Take a look here at John Lucas pulling up just inside the arc for 2. Guess who one of the best high school point guards, freshman high school point guards in America
His brother Jay. He's only a diaper dandy, a freshman.
And guess who visited here and saw a game and loved the atmosphere? And guess who the Cowboys are trying to get an early commitment
Wow,
from?
you got him already going after him. The kid has not even gotten to the bathroom and shaved yet. And you got him wearing a uniform here.
Look at this start for Oklahoma State. Bill Self in his homecoming, his first time back in this building in 8 years, finds himself down a dozen already. And forget the homecoming and the warm, mushy feelings he was feeling coming in today. Now he's got a battle on his hands.
You know, he was player of the year in high school out of Edmond, Oklahoma. Came here, started for 2 years, was a distributor, so well liked. The perfect hire. He was the perfect hire to replace Roy Williams. And I just can't say enough about what Roy Williams did in his tenure at Kansas.
Michael Lee on the floor for Kansas. Jeff Graves in there as well.
Doubling up on that basketball.
Boy, Kansas, nothing coming easy, and their own worst enemies right now. That's the 4th turnover already.
That defensive change really bothered him, got him out of the rhythm, went to a little double up on the wing.
You know, after Saturday's win over Texas Tech, when Kansas scored 96 points there most of the season, the fans were thrilled, the players were thrilled, and Bill Self said, if we don't play defense better than we played it today, we don't have a chance in Stillwater. They've given up 18 points in less than 6 minutes.
Well, you got to guard. That's the one thing you got to try to learn, to be committed and focused on every play. Defensively, that's been a dilemma for Arizona and for North Carolina.
McFarlin banks it in.
McFarlin coming off a big game. Everybody's in the rhythm, man. It becomes contagious. They're all making shots. Nobody wants to be left out of the party.
Travel on Graves. He dragged that pivot foot a little bit.
Eskimo Joe's must be jumping with joy right now on the Stillwater campus. Oh, those people must be going bananas. Here it is, penetration. Kick it out. Mr. McFarlin off the glass like John Wooden used to teach. The Wizard of Westwood.
The Cowboys, Dick, are 8 for 9. 8 for 9 from the floor, and all 5 starters have already scored.
You know, earlier this week, score was 55-51 against Texas A&M. They made a run at them, and then they made 12 of 13 shots to blow it open.
Again, the best field goal percentage in America at 52%. This is a team that both the media and the coaches before the year picked to finish 5th in the Big 12, behind, in some order, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, and Oklahoma.
They just don't have that sexy, spectacular name, and yet they got such a tradition here. He's gone 6 straight years to the tournament, 6 straight years winning 20 or more games. Eddie Sutton's done a marvelous job at his alma mater.
Lucas trying to shake Miles. Lucas hot early. He's got 7 already. Here's Allen. He's actually their leading scorer and a first-team All-Big 12 candidate the way he's playing, leading the league in steals right now.
Yeah, he's a versatile player. He's really added so much to his game after coming from junior college.
Lucas has got to create something right now. The desperation three!
He might as well shoot it every time he touches it. He shot that from Houston, Texas.
Unbelievable. Simeon, baseline jumper. That snaps. An 18-2 run by the Cowboys.
Simeon, an outstanding inside talent, one of the premier talents in the conference.
Looking inside now, McFarlin, the lefty, no. Rebound, Simeon.
Very quick inside with the basketball, McFarlin. This club lost a lot, man, when they lost Heinrich and Kanas.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about two genuine All-Americans.
Air ball for Keith Langford. He'll be hearing about that. Bobek, are you kidding?
Off the glass. He comes the way of BYU. His dad played for Eddie Sutton at Creighton. Everything's going right for him here tonight. Listen to this crowd. Go Pokes, go, baby. That's all I heard all day last night and today.
Have you ever seen a coach take 3 timeouts in the first 7 minutes of a game?
He had to do it.
Wow.
He's got to try to stop this. Take a look at Lucas. Right here, 7-footer bothering him. He says, forget about it. I'm still getting it off. Fading away, knocking it down. And the bank is open in Stillwater, baby. Right off the glass.
Oklahoma State is now 6 for 7 from three-point range. Bill Self looks pretty calm, but his team is now down 18 points to a very confident team and an unbelievably supportive crowd here in Stillwater.
Oh, there's such a passion here and love for the Cowboys.
You know, you talked about, even though they shoot it well, they don't shoot the three often. Oklahoma State's season high for threes in a game is 8. They've got 6 already here tonight.
Right, 8 is the high, as you said. Happened earlier this week.
Padgett coming off a good game on Saturday, and he travels. What's going on?
He's got to get stronger physically for this kind of level of play, and he will. He's going to be a major factor inside for Bill Self, who did a marvelous job at Illinois. Took Tulsa and Illinois to the Elite 8. Tulsa lost to North Carolina for the right to go to the Final Four.
Terrence Crawford, a 6'6" junior from Oklahoma, sitting into the game now for the Cowboys, wearing number 42. Oklahoma State is a deep team. Eddie Sutton will use 9 or 10 guys.
The one year he got to the Elite 8, he beat Kansas to get there in the Sweet 16 and lost to Arizona.
How about that swat by Langford getting up there at 6'4"?
They got to get Langford the basketball a little bit more offensively. Uses attacking ability. He's added a lot to his perimeter game as well. I mean, if you don't focus coming here, these guys were ready. They were charged. They were ready. You could see them in the warm-ups.
McFarlin a little bit strong with the shot. A rebound to Miles, and now Kansas looks to run.
Kansas is not going away, though. No. You're going to see a run out of Kansas. They're too talented.
Just like we talked about Kentucky and Florida. Kentucky is used to all these environments and taking the other team's best shot. They won't back down at all. Good example there by Langford.
Saw that the other day with Stanford in Arizona. Arizona has a 5-point lead late in the game, and Stanford's will to want to win made it happen in dramatic style. Brent Musburger was going bananas.
Dick, I was sitting in my living room. I was going bananas. I got yelled at for yelling in the living room watching you guys doing that game.
I thought we were going to get trampled on. And to our left was Tiger Woods. Bill Walsh was in the house.
What a phenomenal finish. I'm not surprised you're a little bit hoarse here tonight after the way that game ended on Saturday.
I tell you, it's been real tough all day, but the bottom line is this environment certainly gets you fired up. You can't help to feel the adrenaline in this crowd.
Bobek back in for Lucas. Lucas will not be out long. Langford a seasonal 08 because of foul trouble Saturday against Texas Tech. It is all OSU in the early going here in Stillwater. Capacity crowd loving every minute of it. Cowboys up 17.
Well, let me tell you this. It's my birthday on my buddy here, 37 years of age. He looks about 87, but I'm only teasing you, Danny. Hey, come on, girls, bring it in here. Little happy birthday,
Is that
Dan.
nice or what?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Hey, Dan, enjoy it. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you, ladies.
I know Sarah's watching at home, and certainly Alex and Matt. Ben is probably sleeping. We're going to eat this later.
Eat this very soon.
This later,
you won't see this in the second half. Thank you, Dick. That was very, very nice of you.
You're welcome, my friend. You've had a lot of fun.
Look
You
at
treat
John
me all the time. You treat me all the time.
Look at John Lucas. Look at the fun that he's having tonight. Hitting all 4 of his shots, couple of threes already. If you missed the start of this game, as you can see from the scoreboard, all Oklahoma State Cowboys right now. Look at these shooting numbers.
Kansas trying to get into a trap. You look at the three-point line, 6 for 7. They got to be very patient on the defensive end. You don't want to make too many mistakes and give them a lot of layups either. There's a lot of time to get back in this game.
Remember, no Lucas in the game right now, so Oklahoma State trying to find some rhythm offensively. Allen. And the offensive rebound for Crawford, fresh 35.
Just out-hustled him on that play.
Janava Weatherspoon, who has checked in for Lucas, a good burst at speed on the baseline, and he draws the foul.
Just out-hustled him right there. You got to hustle and scrap if you want to come back from this deficit.
Well, folks, more basketball on the way later on tonight at midnight Eastern. It's San Diego State taking on Rafael Araujo and the BYU Cougars, who are 13-7 on the season. Araujo leads BYU in both scoring and rebounding.
You know, they got to win. That's one of the losses that Oklahoma State suffered. And Raphael had about 36, put a show on the big guy inside. It'll be a treat for people to watch. They've only lost twice, lost to Texas Tech at Texas Tech. Then returned to favor when they came here. Got a W against Texas Tech.
They've had some impressive wins, Oklahoma State. One at Texas, one at Iowa State.
I'm going to tell you why the one at Texas was impressive. Rick Barnes' club is really playing well defensively. They're rebounding. They had a couple of breakthrough games. I thought the Providence game was a breakthrough game for them. Bottom line, it was impressive because Oklahoma State, not a good rebounding team. They out-rebounded Texas by 9.
Amazing. Dick, more problems for Kansas. That last foul on Langford, his second. He's gone to the bench.
He's their scorer. Can't afford having him out too long.
Miles looking inside for Simeon. He's got to shoot from way away from the basket. And look at Weatherspoon climb the ladder for the rebound.
I'll tell you right now, the half-court offensive sets of Kansas not getting them good shots. Defense is really very effective for Oklahoma State.
Amazing energy at both ends of the floor for the Cowboys. Now a turnover.
They got to try to get some plays in transition.
There's one. Miles to Padgett. Wait a minute. Offensive foul, David Padgett.
Nothing going right for him. It looks like they're going to get a layup in transition to the trailer, Padgett, and they get a charging call. Eddie Sutton, an unbelievable winner. There's the look play inside. Oh, there's no doubt about it. Defense was set.
Now Eddie Sutton takes a 30-second timeout. Talk about Coach Sutton a little bit. 741 wins, 4 different teams into the NCAA tournament. I mean, this is a guy like this program that's flying under the radar a little bit.
Well, you mentioned 4 different schools: Creighton, Arkansas, Kentucky, Oklahoma State. He did an amazing job at Oklahoma State to take them to the Final Four in '95 with Big Country. Also, think about this: most tourney appearances. Bob Knight with 25, Eddie Sutton 23, Lute Olson 23. And Jim Boeheim 22.
And when Eddie Sutton led this program into the Final Four, they had the Big Country.
There's Big Country. He was teasing me tonight. He said, do you remember Dickie V walking with me my first day at Oklahoma State as a player on the road? New York City. True story, Dan. We're walking, going to Madison Square Garden for a shoot-around, and he looks up at the buildings and he says, hey, Dickie V, we don't have buildings like this in Gans, Oklahoma.
You got that right.
Now he's got a farm out in Gans. I told him he probably owns the whole city.
He's the biggest thing in Gans, Oklahoma. Big Country.
He'd be the biggest thing anywhere he goes.
What a strong drive right down the lane. Was that Crawford? And he draws the foul.
You know, the last time I was here, you mentioned it, was when Mr. Reeves had 33 points, 20 rebounds. As you watch the drive down the lane, and he creates the foul opportunity, and they beat Kansas that night.
That's right.
But about 2 weeks later, he had to go play up in Jayhawk country. He got 0.
He didn't
score. Randy Rutherford had 45 in that game. That's hard to believe. He didn't score.
And we'll see in our flashback a little bit later on some of the moments from that Big Country game you're talking about in this arena. That's the last time you were here in Stillwater back in February of '95, the last time that Oklahoma State went to the Final Four. Look at this lead for the Cowboys early, up 19 on Kansas. New rankings just came out today, as you can see. Big Monday presented by Bud Light, along with Dick Vitale and Doris Burke. I'm Dan Shulman, and that's Oklahoma City native J.R. Giddens knocking down the three, his first points of the night. He came into college with a reputation of being a slasher and a dunker, but he's really showing great outside touch the last few games.
Yeah, he's going to be a big star at Kansas. He's got great elevation, high jumps better than 6'9".
Joey Graham from outside.
Can't cut the lead. You're not going to cut into that deficit unless you commit defensively. You got to really come after them defensively. And right now, to me, Kansas very passive on the defensive side.
And that's not what Bill Self likes to see. He's not so much of a run and gun guy, although he likes offense. He's more about defense and toughness.
As a double up, swing it out from the double up.
Miles, a little bit long on the three. Giddens. Simeon battling inside, but Joey Graham takes it away, and then Joey Graham gives it right back.
Joey Graham had a big game against Texas. Had a double-double, 20 points, 12 rebounds.
I love that perpetual scowl on the face of Eddie Sutton. You couldn't sit with and talk to a nicer guy in the coaching fraternity than Eddie Sutton, but once he gets in the game, he's got that scowl on his face all the time.
He really does. I tell you, we talk about unheralded point guards, and certainly John Lucas is one of them. You think about Andre Barrett, Chris Hernandez at Stanford, Carl Grouser as well, and Marcus Green down there at St. Bonnie's. Those guys don't get a lot of publicity, but they're very good players.
Aaron Miles for Kansas, leading this league, the Big 12, in assists by a wide margin. John Lucas of Oklahoma State is second.
I think an amazing stat for Lucas the last 2 games, 10 assists and no turnovers.
Wow, it's amazing because he plays a ton of minutes. Graves, nice pass. Simeon inside.
Great look by Graves to his teammate. Good interior play. Nice tandem. Give the ball to the inside. Simeon, certainly the premier power guy inside in the Big 12.
I'm waiting to hear you say, I feel a run coming, partner.
Well,
you feel it yet?
You don't feel it because I don't see the commitment defensively. They're getting too many easy shots.
Graham, tough find inside. And now a turnover committed by Oklahoma State. There's 7th of the game already.
On the other side, if you're right now Eddie Sutton, you're very concerned from the standpoint. You like certainly the 16-point lead, but you don't want to see your team get that little cockiness and that little overconfidence, because this team could quickly go on a 14-2 spurt.
Jeff Hawkins in the game now, number 1 at the point for Kansas. Michael Lee had more room than he realized. Again, trying to find the big guys, but the Oklahoma State big guys, despite being smaller than their counterparts, doing a great job fronting down in the post.
Yeah, doing a great job defensively, beating guys to the basketball, denial. Part of their defense is that they play it like a rhythm, like a unit, 5 together.
Joey Graham, pump fake, gets Graves in the air. Boy, look at Crawford battling. Look at the bodies on the floor in the paint. We got another tie-up. The ball will stay with the Cowboys. We will step aside for a moment. We have already seen some dazzling stuff from John Lucas here tonight. Where does he get all that ability from? Doris Burke will pursue that story when we return. Dick Vitale will be there up in Pittsburgh. You want to talk about great environments and great student sections, just like here at Oklahoma State. Wow. Sometimes it's just your night.
I tell you, they're doing anything they want. I cannot believe the way Kansas has looked to me in terms of their energy here early in this game. Taking the ball up strong. He's going to hang in the air. You would have thought they'd come on a road, respecting the fact that this club has not lost here at home, and come out with such fire. But they seem to be a little bit flat. Unless it's me. Do you see that, too?
I agree with you. Oklahoma State had such energy right from the beginning of the game, and Kansas has not answered that energy.
And I know Bill Self and his staff was ready. I can tell you that. Talking to them, saw him last night at the airport. You know, he was here for 11 of his first 12 years as an adult, was here as a player, then as an assistant coach, 4 years with Leonard Hamilton, 3 with Eddie Sutton.
That last foul on Graves, his second. He gets the easy 2 at the other end. So Graves with 2 fouls, Langford with 2 fouls, but Bill Self doesn't have much of a choice. They're both in there right now.
Can't worry about foul trouble in this situation. No. Not on a road down 16. You got to just come out and play.
Lucas can't turn the corner on Hawkins. Miles getting a bit of a breather.
They do such a great job spacing, execution.
Fresh 35 now for the Cowboys as we go to Doris Burke.
Dan, I'm with a very proud father, John Lucas, here watching his son have a very solid first half. What do you think?
Well, they're playing very well early, so, you know, if they can continue to shoot the ball like that, they've got a chance.
Talk about what it's like as a dad, having John experience such a tough summer with the situation at Baylor. What is it like as a parent to see him fit in so nicely here?
Well, I didn't want to be out of a job, but I was glad to be home at the situation when all of that happened for him. So as a parent, getting a bad coach sometimes or getting in a bad situation is like getting a bad parent. And hopefully the best for Baylor basketball program. And we're grateful to the commissioner for allowing John to play right away.
We understand you got your son up awfully early this summer, 6 a.m. workouts. What were you guys working on?
I don't know what you asked me, but wherever it is, let's go poke.
Thanks, John. Dan?
Well, Doris, it got even louder than it was a minute ago. And Doris is standing right beside John Lucas. They can't even hear each other here.
You know, you mentioned the name before, Baylor. And I'm going to tell you something. Scott Drew is going to do an amazing job of recruiting. He's a workaholic. He's got great work ethic. And I'm telling you, people are going to pounce on him now. But come and see that program in about 3 to 4 years. They're going to be back into what we call respectability because that kid is a workaholic.
Well, it's not much, but they have won a couple of games in league play, and that's a couple more than most people thought they would win.
Beat Texas A&M.
Nearly stolen. Now Bobbick's got it. Oh, a hard foul there by Graves, and that'll be his third.
They look so out of sync to me tonight, offensively and defensively. And you got to credit Oklahoma State for that happening because they've been pounding people. Dan Patrick and I talked about it today. When you look at the more blowing people away here.
And even on the season, in all games, they're outscoring the opposition by 16 points per game. And granted that, some of that was against, but they've now played 8 games. Lost the opener at Texas Tech. They've won 7 in a row since.
He's only one of 3 coaches to take 4 schools to the NCAA tournament. Lefty Drizel, Jim Herrick, and the others. And this year, Rick Pitino will join that and make that happen as well. We're going to see Pitino against Bobby Lutz, another guy that's under the radar down here at Charlotte, where they do a heck of a job. Spoke to their assistant today, and they got a shooter from the 3-point line in Plavich.
He's the guy who lit up Syracuse back at the beginning of the season. I'll have that game Thursday night.
Damon Brown can play on a perimeter as well, and Withers. They got a good basketball team.
Graves to the bench, Padgett back in. Miles and Lee have returned as well. Langford gets free for a deuce.
Langford gets free because of the unselfishness of Simeon with the ball reversal to create the opportunity.
You know, Dick, if they can get this down to 8 or 10 by the half, it's a whole different ballgame.
And that's what they got to do. They got to be patient. They can't panic, but they got to lock in and commit defensively. They're going to go a little zone right now.
Look at this. The follow won't go either, but what a drive by Tony Allen.
You know, earlier in the game, those were all falling in.
Yep.
Now a little bit, they're coming out a little.
Good defense there by Allen at the other end.
They really pride themselves to the defensive side. That was always Eddie Sutton's strength. That was a stabilizer. If you play defense, you got a chance to win. That's why it's so frustrating for Roy Williams and Lute Olson, who believe in that.
What beautiful offense. Lucas to Allen to McFarlin.
That is drilled that way. A little triangle inside. People on the right spot. Good spacing, good penetration. Oh, baby, this place is special.
It's shaking right now, Dick. Simeon, good position. Wave it off. You know, a few years ago, 3 years ago, they doubled the capacity of this building. They put a new roof on way above the old roof. Then they took the old roof off and built the second deck here. This building only used to go up above the first deck to that walkway, and everybody who lives here swears the building is louder now than it used to be.
What about Heritage Hall? It's so beautiful. We went there. Talked also to Mr. Perkins today, the fine athletic director down at Kansas, and he's so excited. They just got a gift of $12 million, and they're going to renovate Allen Fieldhouse, which is like, as you watch Patrick with the dunk, which is very similar to Wrigley Field. Going to make a little adjustment here and there. They're going to certainly build a newer Hall of Fame.
Yep.
They're excited about the changes they're going to make.
McFarlin has gone to the bench with 2 fouls. Joey Graham replaces him. Graham has 2 fouls as well. It is Oklahoma State leading by 14, shooting 59% tonight, but they started out 9 of 10. Allen, back rim, rebound Kansas.
Now I think you're going to see a little spark. I see a little bit more of a step to their game, a little more bounce. Starting to make a few better plays.
Ryan Nash into the game for the first time for the Jayhawks, number 33. Aaron Miles from the elbow. No. Rebound Miller.
Miller, good long-range shooter.
Weatherspoon and a foul.
Weatherspoon, an athlete. You mentioned the kid Crawford earlier. He has really had so much adversity in his life. Mike Baldwin wrote a great column about him, about the adversity. He's the only survivor from back when that plane crash took place.
Only player who was in the program then.
Yep, 2001. Then he lost his dad when he was 11 months old to lupus, and his mom nearly lost her life when he was a senior in high school.
As you mentioned, all the injuries over the years here, but still battling, and maybe never going to be quite the star he was projected to be, but a valuable performer. Here's Weatherspoon, a 6'1" senior from Camden, Delaware, at the line, backup point guard, and also can slide to the 2. There's Crawford, who's given him some valuable minutes here tonight.
Yeah, he's a real courageous kid. He's had an Achilles heel problem. He's had knee surgery, lost his dad so early. Stepdad has done an amazing job with him and working with him. His mom is such a great lady, according to everybody I've talked to. And Mike Baldwin wrote a very touching article. Hey, I'll tell you this right now. They right now, when you look at Kansas, have to go on a little spurt in these 4 minutes to get some momentum, but they could be in major trouble.
Miles, another great find to Simeon. How many point guards in America find open teammates as well as Aaron Miles?
Well, he's one of my premier point guards. You talk about the great ones, the Jameer Nelsons, the Duhans. You talk about the Feltons. You got to include this young guy. We're going to watch this right now with a little penetration. There's the diagonal pass down in a low box. Get the score. Always was a favorite of Roy Williams.
You know, his teammates have really stood up for him in the last couple of weeks. Miles is now starting to get more attention. His assist numbers are climbing week by week. But some of his teammates say, I don't care about stats. I don't care about shooting percentage. If you play with Aaron Miles, you know how lucky you are to have him on your side. And really, that's the ultimate compliment when you get it from a teammate like that.
Well, you know, we talked about Bill Self and the job he has done. When you talk about a young coach, he's certainly one of those rising stars in the business. Very similar to Tom Crean. He's a guy that everybody has the greatest respect for. He knows how to get along with people.
Oral Roberts, Tulsa, Illinois, and now Kansas. Illinois, by the way, tomorrow night, part of the Super Tuesday doubleheader. They're at home to Michigan State. How about the Spartans now first place in the Big Ten?
Yeah, really got a little help from Northwestern. Norm Roberts on that staff does a good job as well. He's ready to get himself a coaching opportunity as a head coach. He really does a phenomenal job. Came out of New York City.
Kansas cannot make a big dent in this 14-point deficit.
A year ago, over 10,000 hopefuls gathered with a dream.
Dave Remsen back in our studios updating you.
Now, Dave and Digger, we're seeing some point guard play tonight. Chris Thomas, Carl Krauser, here John Lucas and Aaron Miles. Look out, turnover committed by OSU.
Well, there are a lot of great point guards in college basketball. I'll tell you, Krauser, I can't wait to go to the Oakland Zoo down at Pittsburgh. I think that team, Jamie Dixon, there's a perfect example of giving a young assistant coach a chance, like Matt Painter up at Southern Illinois, Steve Hawkins up down here in Western Michigan, and I hope they give Kerry Rupp the job down at Utah.
How about Southern Illinois? The new rankings just came out this week. The new coaches poll. Southern Illinois is ranked 24th in the nation. Utah State, which was in the media poll last week, now also in the coaches poll at 23rd.
Hey, you know what? I think I was a little brain dead earlier. I don't know if I said this, but if I did, I was wrong. Saying that Rick Pitino could eventually become just like Eddie Sutton, take 4 scores. He's already done that. He's already done that. But you got to give me a turnover. When you're under the weather, you got to get a turnover.
You're getting a mulligan on tonight. You're playing hurt. You got a lot of medication in you right now, and you're doing a heck of a job. Nash inside, gets his man in the air, misses the short one. Cowboys on the run. Lucas. Crawford.
They share the ball so well.
This is Bobbitt.
Nice pump fake, but he had that 3.
Allen, everybody's touching the ball on this possession for State.
Allen played in high school at Crane Tech with Will Bynum, who almost came here to join us. And had he come here, there'd be no John Lucas. Seriously.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah, Bynum was here.
Because John Lucas started looking around for who needed a guard when he decided to transfer.
Bynum doing a good job with Georgia Tech.
Bobbitt, step back. Looking for the call, doesn't get it. Offensive rebound. Allen, no.
That was a terrific offensive rebound. They're just out hustling. Flat out hustling Kansas on the glass. Bill Self cannot be happy with that. Cannot be happy. He's too much of a fighter. Got a tee. Got a tee.
So much for the homecoming and all the good feelings for Bill Self, and he got a nice ovation, all smiles at the beginning, but he's not enjoying himself here in Stillwater tonight.
You know, the one dilemma when you look at Connecticut and you look right here at Oklahoma State, right on the line, not Mr. Lucas, but his teammates, they're in the 60 percentile area, and that could be a no-no, especially at tournament time. Hey, you know this? They were up 17 on Syracuse in the NCAA tournament last year before losing.
That's a forgotten fact. That's a great buried treasure of a fact. In the second round, Syracuse beat 4 Big 12 teams in the tournament, including Oklahoma State in round number 2.
Jimmy Boeheim has told me he never has received his Big 12 trophy. He's got the NCAA trophy. He said, hey, they beat Texas, they beat Kansas, they beat Oklahoma, they beat Oklahoma State. They want that big gold trophy from the Big 12.
Yeah, Steve Welmer, even if the fans don't like the call, you got to admire. First, he's 6'8", about 230, so he can make whatever call he wants. But he makes it emphatically, and he's not backing down at all. Hey, you talk about some big games in the Big 12. Big Monday next week, Oklahoma State at Oklahoma. In 2 weeks, Kansas at Texas. And in 3 weeks, Texas is right back here in Stillwater. Don't forget, Kansas, Texas, and Oklahoma State are tied for the conference lead at 7-1. So there are some huge games coming up on Big Monday.
Well, you and I have really always liked Texas, even when we saw them get beat by Arizona and by Duke. We said something about that club. Rick Barnes knows how to win. We'll get them rolling, and they're rolling. They really put the hurt on Oklahoma yesterday.
Wow, 66-37.
Wow. Shot 1 for 21 from the 3. Oklahoma had won 4 in a row. Shot about 45% from the 3. Had lost 4 in a row previously, but they're a young team.
They are so young. You compare their experience to Oklahoma State or to Texas or even to Kansas, and Oklahoma's so young. Crawford out for Oklahoma State. Giddens is back in for Langford. Giddens is such an emotional, confident young player. A big game Saturday against the Red Raiders. You know, being an... Joey Graham!
Up and away, baby. That brings the Pokes out. Oh, the Cowboy fans go wild. You think they're jumping down an Eskimo Joe's right now?
Lucas with the foul, his second. What a stunning drive to the basket by Joey Graham.
Joey Graham showing that great athletic ability. He was a Golden Knight. He played for Central Florida, but he wanted a bigger visibility. He's getting it now. He's on a bigger stage. Great fake, triple threat position, jam. They say his brother's very impressive in practice, but because of Tony Allen, doesn't get a lot of minutes.
His brother more of a perimeter player. I smell a top 10 play on SportsCenter later on tonight from Joey Graham, don't you?
Do you think so? Oh.
What a slam by Graham.
You know, some people, I was talking to some writers and a number of calls I received, and many of them think that the Big 12 is down. Hey, let me tell you, you're going to be down a little bit when you lose the likes of T.J. Ford, Hollis Price, Kurt Heinrich, Dick Collison. They had 2 teams in the Final Four in the last 2 years because expectations are so high. Forget that nonsense. The Big 12 is still one of the top 4 conferences in America.
Another foul, or there would have been another dunk for Oklahoma State. Here's how good the Big 12 was last year. T.J. Ford won National Player of the Year. Didn't win Big 12 Player of the Year. That went to Hollis Price. But I know you still think this league is firmly in the top 4 in the country.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. I think the ACC is the premier conference. We've said that. I think they'll get 7 teams this year in the tournament. And then I think right after that, you got to talk. It's flip a coin with the SEC, the Big East, and right here, the Big 12.
Heading for a big finish in the Big East with the details. Here's Dave Revson.
Okay, guys, Seton Hall and Pittsburgh, and this one is going to go into overtime as Seton Hall hit a shot, but it came after the buzzer. They had a chance to win it. They are going to review it right now. Let's listen in with Bob Picozzi and Jim Spinarco.
No doubt in either Jim's mind or my mind that the ball was released after time had expired. So we're headed for overtime.
Let's see if you can get a good look here. Watch the basket. Yep. Well, it's a touch late. It's not a long time late, but it's a good recognition here for the extra pass. Yeah, look at that. That says it all right there. And that's what they'll see. And we are going to OT.
And it was the outside official, McFarlin.
All right, so 57 all is pretty clear right there. Pittsburgh 22-1. We'll keep you updated on this one, guys.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. So Connecticut loses. Pittsburgh going to overtime. J.R. Giddens just hit a 3 for the Jayhawks, but it's still a whopping 16-point lead for Oklahoma State.
So difficult. We've documented it so many times to try to win away from home. Basketball more than any other sport, that comfort zone, the familiarity with the baskets are all such a big plus to a shooter.
Well, the environment, especially in a place like this, wouldn't this be in your top 5 environments in America?
I'm going to tell you right now, you got that right. It's a phenomenal place. They're renovating also. They're going to start in, I guess, March or April down at Stanford. They're going to renovate Maples Pavilion. That'll be another place just like Camden Crazy's down at Duke.
Oklahoma State's going to try to hold it for the last shot. Got about a 3-second difference between the game clock and the shot clock. Eddie Sutton's got to be happy with the first 20 minutes.
Well, if I were to chart them right now and grade them, you got to give them an A in every phase, whether it be offensive execution, defensive effort. They contain this very explosive Kansas team, make all big shots.
Lucas hits a big shot at the end of the half every single game.
I'm going to tell you, I think that John Lucas could be the player of the year in the Big 12. He is coming on in a winning situation. This club is going on, making some noise, and he is the reason. He's the catalyst. He's the engine, Doris.
14 points in the first half. Let's go to Doris Berg.
Coach, a dominant half on both sides of the ball. We'll start with the defense. What did you see that you liked?
Well, I thought the defense was outstanding. We forced them into some turnovers. And then, of course, it helps when you have an hot hand like we started out. It seemed like everything we threw up went in the basket.
You came in as the #1 shooting team in the country. You remain efficient offensively. What makes you that good on that side?
Well, I think that, you know, we take pretty good shots. That's part of discipline and understanding shot selection. But we still got 20 minutes to go, and I've played the Jayhawks too many times. They won't quit.
Good luck coaching the second half, Dan.
The voice of experience, better than 700 wins and an 18-point lead at the break over Kansas here in Stillwater. Coming up, the halftime report. Let's send it back to the studio for the Bank One halftime report. Here's Dave Repson.
Okay, Dan, thanks a lot. So a remarkable performance in the first half there in Stillwater for the Pokes. They find themselves up by 18. Dave Revson along with Digger Phelps. And you heard Eddie Sutton talk about the great shooting from his team. How much of that was due to the Kansas defense?
Well, I think Kansas defense has really been struggling. We can go back to their last road game was at Iowa State. Iowa State only had 21 points in the first half. In the second half, they win the game 68-61 by scoring 47 points in the second half against Kansas and shot 61%. The first 6 minutes tonight, Kansas gives up 20 points. So their defense on the road is horrible. That's why they're in the hole.
Well, they're in a huge hole. Oklahoma State looks to be well on its way to an 8th straight win. But this is an explosive Kansas team, so you'll stay tuned for the second half. Also stay tuned for the details on a game between Pittsburgh and Seton Hall that is going down to the wire. We showed you this one headed into overtime, and right now that is where it stands. We will keep you updated on that. In the meantime, we do want to tell you some other Pittsburgh-related news.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of NCAA basketball, brought to you by the new Chevrolets. 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months, an American revolution.
Welcome back to Gallagher-Iba Arena here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Dan Shulman and Nick Vitale with you. Big Monday presented by Bud Light. That Joey Graham dunk, probably the loudest this building was the entire half. But, boy, they love John Lucas, and why not with the way he plays?
Well, you got to love him. He is their catalyst. He's the guy I think could ultimately become the player of the year in the conference. He's got 14 at halftime. He's created opportunities as well, controlled the tempo of the game. He's the guy that's made all the things happen on the offensive side. Just a solid leader, can make shots. You know, he's averaging, Dan, 21 a game in his last 3 games. And he's heading for a better than 21-point game, looks like tonight. Just has become such a scorer at that point guard slot.
And he's hit big threes late, big free throws late. Look at our Chevy truck. First half stats. Oklahoma State started 9 for 10. They're still shooting 50% in the first half. Look at what they did from 3. 6 early threes, and they didn't even attempt one for many, many minutes toward the end of the half. Points off turnovers, 19-4. And they held Kansas to just 2 points in transition. And while Kansas doesn't run as much as they did last year, they still run pretty well. If you can keep Kansas out of transition, competition, you got a good chance to beat them.
Well, you know, the bottom line is now you're going to find a little bit about the character of these kids here in this year under Bill Self. They got to come out and scrap and claw. The first 5 minutes of this half is going to determine to me whether they're going to get back in this game or not. And it's going to be by their effort, the energy, the enthusiasm. Wearing that jersey that says Kansas, man, there's a lot of pride in that jersey.
Both teams 7-1, both tied with Texas for top spot in the very competitive Big 12. Graham, little push shot, no, but the follow is good for McFarlin.
Nobody blocks out on McFarlin. Let me tell you, Joey Graham has got all kinds of ability. He has to stay out of foul trouble to utilize those talents.
Here it is, and he got held by Padgett. Good eyes there by Curtis Shaw as Padgett stopped what would have been another dunk.
You know, it's amazing how he got here. You'll be shocked. You know how he got here?
From Central Florida?
From Central Florida.
Let me hear it.
Living down in Florida, once the athletic director down here in St. Leo's was a gentleman by the name of Ted Owens, an outstanding basketball coach, part of the Kansas tradition. And he happens to know both kids well, and his son is a manager here at Oklahoma State. So he knows both guys from the Florida area. They wanted to transfer. He recommended it.
Lucas for three.
So isn't it ironic? A Kansas guy recommended him here at Oklahoma State. Oh, I'll tell you, Lucas is putting a show on tonight. He's making like Daddy, man. Remember Daddy when he played for the Terps? He became the #1 draft choice in basketball. Oh, it's all Oklahoma State.
With ESPN Full Court, you'll get the most out of the second half of the college basketball season. Order now.
We got a problem up here. Toward.
All right, Dave, thank you. Andre Barrett, another great point guard. We're seeing a lot of them. Seeing John Lucas here tonight for Oklahoma State. Hit a three, forcing another timeout. Lucas, along with Emeka Okafor, picked up a Dickie V award today on DickVitalOnline.com, part of ESPN.com, as the co-player of the week, along with Okafor from Connecticut.
I didn't know you went to my website like that. I'm proud of you. Every Monday, I pick the player of the week, coach of the week, team of the week. Coach of the week was Rick Barnes. A great job he did last week.
29-point win over Oklahoma. And again, Texas tied with these two schools for top spot in the Big 12 at 7-1.
Oklahoma State dictating tempo. They're dictating in terms of any kind of shot they want. Eddie Sutton, as he addressed Doris at halftime, said shot selection is so important to them. And that's the reason that they shoot so well. They understand what a good shot is.
Oh, boy, what a great job playing a little defensive back, Tony Allen.
Bobby Knight told me they run a lot more than Eddie Sutton's clubs in the past. And the reason, number 15, Mr. Lucas.
They're not that big, but they are quick and athletic, and Lucas gives them such energy. For the finish now, maybe, of that Seton Hall-Pittsburgh game, let's go to Dave Revson.
Okay, Dan, thanks a lot. We're going to go back out to New Jersey now. A 2-point lead for the Hall. Here are Bob Picozzi and Jim Spadarko.
With the putback.
Wow, did Taft ever read that shot perfect?
Back here in Stillwater, still a commanding lead for Oklahoma State of Kansas. This is a part of Big Monday presented by Bud Light here on ESPN. Game one of the Big Monday tripleheader, I should say, came to you from South Bend, where the Irish upset UConn. You just saw Seton Hall upset Pittsburgh. Two real big games in the Big East already tonight.
Well, I think this. We've said it so many times. I know I kept screaming it last year. Respect, respect, respect for the Big East. Mike Tranghesi's league didn't get any respect last year. I thought Seton Hall and Boston College should have been in the tournament. That win tonight, that just clinches to me a berth unless they fold totally for Seton Hall. On the other side, Notre Dame, 31-point explosion by Chris Thomas, who has not been the All-American all year that they were anticipating. He's going to need another year of college, really. Bottom line is, had a great game today, wouldn't allow them to lose, and they beat Connecticut. Way of life, college basketball, man.
So number 4, oh boy. Number 4 and number 5 have already lost here tonight. This is the new top 10 in the coaches poll that just came out this evening. Mississippi State, they've only lost once. They're going to keep moving up if they don't lose, and Oklahoma State pops into the top 10.
Yeah, you know, you saw St. Joe's, they're undefeated. I know a lot of people are bashing them, saying, oh, if they were in another league, they'd lose games. Bottom line is they're doing what exactly they're supposed to do. They're beating everybody on their schedule, and they're doing it in class. Why not cheer and be excited excited for those kids. They got a great backcourt, the best backcourt in basketball. St. Joseph's been outstanding, and they can play with anyone. Trust me. Will they win it all? I'm not saying that, but they can play with anyone. Would they have a slip in one of the mega conferences? Yeah, most likely. That doesn't take away that they're not a top 10 team.
If they go undefeated through the A-10 tournament, #1 seed in the East for St. Joseph's?
They should be. You go unblemished. I mean, they beat the likes of Gonzaga. I'm telling you, Dayton's a good basketball team. In today's day and age, you can run a Division I undefeated. They should be a #1 seed.
As we celebrate our 25 seasons of college basketball, it's time to flash back into the ESPN archives.
Something's got to give tonight. Big Country getting it done early. He skied for that one.
High, low, sit him down deep. Bring the ball in the Big Country, baby.
This crowd is just going nuts.
Big Country, you're going to earn your scholarship, baby. 20 rebounds. What a night. What a night. What a night by this big fella. And love him in Stillwater, baby. I tell you, I look at this. Remember, there he is. We talked before the game. He is big, baby. He's right now. He said, I'm taking care of my cattle. I'm having a lot of fun. And you take a look right there, NCAA Final Four, 1995, and all the years listed there that they went during the Hank Iba era. 95, that was the year Jim Herrick cut the nets down and beat the Razorbacks of Arkansas.
One of 2 teams Eddie Sutton's taken to the Final Four. Did it with Arkansas in 1978.
With the triplets, Mr. Brewer, Mr. Moncrief, and Mr. Duff.
Bobek got it off in time, but the rebound to Graves. It has been all Oklahoma State from the outset, but Simeon aims to change that.
They don't look like a Kansas basketball team. Blowing the ball up the court, play with some quickness, some energy. They got to make a run and get this at the 10-minute mark to about 10 or 11.
Bobek, nice find to McFarlin.
Not like that. They carved that defense apart. You try to trap. Eddie Sutton is too good at it. They're too well coached.
What a fundamentally sound team these Oklahoma State Cowboys are. And it's not just Eddie Sutton. I know you talked a little bit in the first half about Sean Sutton, his son as well, and how important he is on this coaching staff.
Well, I'm saying he should definitely be the heir apparent to his dad. He's put in 10 years here, just like the assistants I spoke about are doing so well, Jamie Dixon and company. He definitely deserves the opportunity when it opens. But his daddy's going nowhere. He may need his dad, though, a hip replacement. Told him to give a call to Coach K, who went through that same scenario. He's having a lot of pain in his hip area.
Eddie Sutton should pass Paul Gallen on the win list this year and Hank Iba on the win list next year. Langford, nice find, and Simeon's going to work on that field goal percentage with those dunks here tonight.
Langford, nice little pass inside. They're trying to go to a trapping defense. They're very difficult to trap because of the way they're aligned. They have good spacing. They look diagonally. They got an excellent guard. Very tough to trap them.
18-point lead, Oklahoma State. That's exactly what it was at halftime. Here comes Lucas. Took a little bit of a bump by Graves. Crowd wanted a call. Now Graves gambling, and he loses the gamble.
What a nice entry by Lucas. 45-degree angle. They really do such an excellent job in their half-court sets. Play hard on defense. They really focus defensively. That's what impressed me about Stanford.
Langford flying to the rim. Cannot finish.
I saw Stanford, they were without Harrius and they were without Mr. Justin Davis.
Two good players.
No, sir, they got a tough day coming up with California this weekend, who could make a little run for a third bid in the Pac-10, because right now it looks like only 2 teams out of the Pac-10.
Isn't that incredible? I mean, to contemplate a league like that with 10 teams, might only get 2 into the NCAA. As you can see, Simeon, he's having a big night, 16 points, but the rest of the team not giving him much help.
Pac-10, it runs in cycles, though. They'll be back. Lute Olson and Mike Montgomery have done their part. Ben Holland's got some great recruits coming in next year at UCLA. They'll get back in the hunt. They'll start being UCLA.
Miles turns it over.
Give it up. Give it up.
And Lucas looking for the contact, finds it in Giddens.
He did a great job cutting off Giddens to create that opportunity for himself.
Boy, he's a tough little guy, isn't he? All about 150 pounds.
His dad must be so proud, sitting in the stands, watching him play. Brings back memories to when he played. His dad was sensational. There it is, drawing the contact. Dad played at Maryland. Hey, Maryland came back now. They were on a little bit of a schneid. Got a couple of big wins. That's life in that conference. I'm going to tell you what. You're 6th or 7th in that conference. You can play with anyone.
They've got a big one. They're all big in the ACC, but they've got a big one at North Carolina Sunday at 3:30 Eastern on ABC.
That is a big game. I'll tell you one thing. I really believe this year in the ACC, and I usually feel that you got to be at least 500 to go to the tournament. I think any team that's 7-9 deserves the way the toughness of that conference is.
So you could see them getting 7 bids potentially?
I would be shocked if they don't get 7. They've only got 4 the last 2 years. You know, I was talking about St. Joseph's earlier. Phil Martelli has certainly done a phenomenal job. I hate to see people constantly talk about what if, what if. Well, they're not in any other conference. They're doing what they have to do. Beat the people they're supposed to be.
Giddens misses the drive to the basket, and now back come the Cowboys, led by Lucas. Again, he's got 18 to lead all scores in this game.
And he's got a great basketball IQ. Did you notice how he backed the ball out? He's averaging like less than 2 turnovers a game.
Amazing.
And he has the ball so often. College basketball is dictated by point guard play. Andre Barrett tonight, Chris Thomas tonight.
Carl Krauser had a big game, even though Pittsburgh lost in double overtime.
There's Dad. He sees the same barber you and I see. He probably gives a better tip.
Probably. He might see the barber by choice. I'm not sure. You know, he might be doing that by choice. You and I have no choice in this matter.
I haven't had choice for over 40 years.
Weatherspoon at the line. A frustrating night for Miles and the Jayhawks. They have been down big the entire night. At one point, I remember back in the first half, it was 26-8. And really, the Jayhawks, they got it down to 12 once. That's about the closest they've been.
I'm really shocked because I don't think that they came out with the energy and the enthusiasm that Bill Self was really primed up for. I think his players had a little passive attitude early, and they got really jumped on quickly, and they haven't been able to recover.
Bill Self played here at Oklahoma State, was an assistant coach for 7 years here at Oklahoma State.
Leonard Hamilton did a great job here. He was on his staff.
This is the first time Bill Self's been in this building in 8 years, and he's not having any fun at all.
Yeah, he was back here in '96 for the Oklahoma State game.
Simeon. Back comes Lucas, and again in control. The clock is his ally. Bobbitt passes up the 3. They're very selective out there.
Yeah, they only take good threes. That's why they don't make that many. 8 being their high coming into tonight's game.
They're 7 for 10 from three-point range tonight.
That's efficient.
Joey Graham, he's had some real big moments here tonight. A little bit short on that one. Simeon tries to save and does.
Joey Graham's got loads of talent. He's going to be a big-time player in this league next season.
Padgett. Nice find to Giddens for 3.
Nice play. Padgett with the inside-outside look. Go the opposite way. Those 2 diaper dandies are going to be outstanding players in the Kansas uniform.
Giddens has made 3 threes already here tonight. Again, his shooting is just getting better and better.
Rotating the zone right now, trying to take him out of that passing, cutting attack. Take some time off the clock. They're managing the clock right now. They're in command with the big lead.
You know, this is a group, looks like they've been playing together for years, but with all these transfers, this is the first year. Weatherspoon, and that was just great nonverbal communication between Weatherspoon and Lucas to execute or attempt to execute that play.
You know, Dan, that's a great point you made. The fact that they could take all these new players and blend them as a unit. There's the diagonal pass. It's the foul. To be able to blend them, that's a tribute to Eddie Sutton's teaching ability. And anybody that knows him, any of his peers, has always had the greatest respect for his technical knowledge in the game.
I think it was our friend Dan Wetzel who wrote in an article I was reading that if all things are equal and you're coaching against Eddie Sutton, you're going to lose. That's how much respect he has in the basketball world.
Dan Wetzel wrote that?
I believe it was Dan Wetzel.
Dan knows his stuff.
Yep.
Dan, Hoops Weiss, guys like that really know their stuff.
Well, from little Janaba Weatherspoon to big country, our Doris Burke going to talk to the big fella when we come back to Stillwater.
Looks like he needs a meal. Go get him a meal, Doris.
go back to Stillwater, where the 1995 Final Four banner is held high here in Gallagher Iba Arena. And I've got Big Country, Brian Reeves, who's a member of that Final Four team. And the last time Dick Vitale was in the house, you had 33-20 in a win over Kansas. Brian, tell me what it's like as a player to be in the midst of the sea of orange and get on a roll.
I mean, this is one of the greatest arenas to play basketball in. You're here in an atmosphere like this. It's hard not to keep it going. You get on a roll, and it just seems to carry you all the way through the game.
Coach Sutton, over 700 wins in his career, Hall of Fame credentials. What stands out most in your mind about him?
Coach Sutton's a great teacher. He gets the most out of the players he's got. But, he teaches you the game, teaches you about life. And, I definitely think he should be in the Hall of Fame.
So congratulations on a great career. Thanks for joining us, Brian.
Thank you very much.
Dan?
All right, Doris, thank you very much. I'm not sure we have been in a louder building this year, and I'm sure it was just as loud when you were back here in '95 and the Big Country went off against Kansas.
Yeah, then he went on to the Grizzlies, who, by the way, right now, UB Brown's got to be considered for Coach of the Year in the NBA. They're doing a phenomenal job, like sixth in their conference in the West. Jerry West is the architect, has got them some good players, and they are playing so well.
Christian Moody into the game for Kansas, a walk-on number 34, but he's starting to get a lot of minutes. He had 7 points and 4 rebounds Saturday against Texas Tech.
I got to believe right now Bill Self is totally frustrated. He's playing a little gimmick defense now, a little triangle and two.
Graham, no. Giddens skies for the rebound. Can't snare it, and now Miles comes away with it. Giddens, another three-point attempt, his fourth make of the game.
J.R. Giddens, with his great jumping ability, has got stardom all over. Bill Self's got a nice class coming in next year. They're going to love Russell Robinson from out of New York City, from out of Archbishop Malloy. Norm Roberts, very familiar with that area. No, he's from out of Rice High School.
And if everybody sticks around, the only real key player they'll lose is Graves. The juniors, if they all come back, should be a loaded Kansas team.
Sasha Khan from out of Florida, big guy, can play as well. Kid named Jackson from out of Oklahoma City. Bill Self is going to get it done. The guy's a winner, man. He's a flat-out winner. He came into a situation, they lost 2 quality players. You just do not replace guys like Heinrich and guys like Collison.
Early season losses to Nevada, and then middle of the season they lost at home to Richmond. And the Kansas faithful, I mean, they've been used to so many incredible seasons during the Roy Williams era that they're still kind of warming up to Bill Self a little bit.
Well, that game against certainly Richmond, Jerry Wainwright's done a heck of a job down there, surprising people. But that really was a shocker because it happened at Allen Fieldhouse.
Mike Scrocky had a big game for the Spiders. Good player. Three-pointer from the wing for Bobbitt.
Bobbitt can shoot that three. Shot it at BYU as well. He must have been really down when they lost to BYU.
Oklahoma State is now 8 out of 12 from three-point range tonight. Meanwhile, Steve Welmers got another foul call, this one against Ivan McFarlin. Don't forget, tomorrow, Super Tuesday, right here on ESPN. Number 8, Kentucky at home against Alabama, and then a Big Ten matchup in Champaign between Michigan State and Illinois. Don't forget the Spartans, after they struggled against all the big-time opponents they had out of conference, they are now the leaders in the Big Ten. And how about Kentucky, Dick? Every single game at Florida, at home against South Carolina, it seems to go down to the final possession every game, and they win a whole lot more often than they lose.
Well, they played without Gerald Fitch in their last game and still had the mentality to find a W against a good South Carolina team.
Bobbitt again. And the rebound for Allen. Boy, what an active player Tony Allen is.
Just dominated the entire game. Last year Kansas led the nation in scoring margin, 15.8. Pittsburgh was at 15-7. Kansas was 15-1 at home last year, only lost at home to Arizona. They're trying to make you mentioned Michigan State. They're the last team to go 3 consecutive years to the Final Four, right. 99, 2000, and 2001. And now Kansas is trying to make it for the 3rd straight year. They'll bounce back after this. Now, they're regrouping. They got too much pride. Those fans are beautiful. They got a passion and love for basketball. I mean, certainly out there.
Well, let me ask you, you got 3 teams tied at 7-1. Texas, Kansas, Oklahoma State. Kansas really getting it handed to them here tonight. I'm not sure if you can even hear me. It's so noisy right now. But what does Kansas have to do to get back to the Final Four this year?
Well, bottom line is they got to commit on the defensive end, and I think that's what Bill Self is a little upset about, that they haven't made that commitment. And the same thing that Arizona, Lute Olson talked to me about, and in the second half they made a commitment against Stanford.
Giddens the foul, his fourth, and look at the anger and the frustration on the face of Bill Self.
So many high school players, and making the adjustment to come into the collegiate level, and Bill will tell you this, they have a very difficult time understanding how you have to be focused and really play every possession tough to get a certain mindset that you don't get away from that.
Especially in conference play, you got to be physically tough and mentally tough because it's a real grind. And when you're Kansas, everywhere you go is going to be a huge game for the other team, and the fans are going to fill the building, and they're going to scream and yell and try to do everything they can to knock you off because you're the king of the hill.
Well, there's no doubt about it, and the bottom line is you got to understand that you got to focus, especially when you're on the road.
Yep.
On the road, you got to take it up an extra notch.
That's why what Duke has done on the road in the ACC, what Oklahoma State has done on the road here in the Big 12, 4-1 already. Very, very impressive.
Well, Roy Williams did a great job on the road as well when he was at Kansas, because his kids did come to play defense, and they were dominant in transition.
Hawkins can't get a shot off. Good recovery defensively by the Cowboys out on the perimeter.
They really are hustling and beating guys to the spot, stepping out on screeners.
Simeon inside, count it, and a foul.
Simeon is a big-time inside force. Langford's been really quiet here tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure by the end of the season that Simeon might not work his way into the Player of the Year in the Big 12. He's in the top. He's third in rebounding and sixth in scoring in this league, and he's having a big night tonight with 18.
Well, we know about his dilemma last year. Was out with that shoulder problem, had surgery. They certainly missed him at the end of the year, but they still made that great run before Carmelo and company took over and won the national title from Mr. Boeheim. Trust me when I tell you, Roy Williams will win a national title at North Carolina. He had a great win the other day on the road against Wake Forest. They played Duke really tough. They're starting to understand and learn how to play on the defensive side.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of NCAA basketball, presented by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Well, in what some local folks here describe as the biggest home game for the Oklahoma State Cowboy basketball program in many, many years. Everybody looks like they're going to go home happy here tonight. A 20-point lead for the Cowboys, 7:42 to go.
I'll tell you one thing, they were unbelievable against Bobby Knight's good Texas Tech team. They ran the court, they moved the basketball, they defended, played so brilliantly down there at the Allen Fieldhouse. You know, you think about his staff right now. Tim Jankovic was a former Kansas State player, but he was an assistant here for 1 year at Oklahoma State. He's got Joe Dooley on that staff, former head coach at East Carolina, and Norm Roberts is one of the highly regarded assistants. Very hot, along with guys like Fred Hill at Villanova, Barry Rawson at Pitt, Dave Dickerson down in Maryland, Johnny Dawkins at Duke, Orlando Early at Alabama. There's some good assistants out there.
How about the big guy sitting beside Jankovic, Danny Manning? Bill Self probably wishes he could stick him back in a uniform.
Wow, was he special.
Aaron Miles, no. Padgett the follow, no. And now we got a foul over the back. Danny Manning, I mean, that 1988 run, Danny and the Miracles, as good as you've seen on the college level?
You know, in my 25 years, certainly covering basketball for ESPN, I firmly believe, somebody asked me the other day, who was the best player I've seen in the 25 years? I would say Danny Manning. He was absolutely brilliant. I'm talking strictly as a collegian. Had nothing to do with the NBA. Based on it as a collegian, he and Larry Brown did an amazing job when they were 12-8, and it was Danny and the Miracles, and he carried them to the national title. I would rank right behind him is Mr. Patrick Ewing. In fact, I'm going to do another book. You know what I'm going to do in another book?
Another book?
Hey, Dick Weiss, I'm calling you hoops. We're going to do another book. We're going to do my 50 PTPers in order, 1 to 50, who are the best. And I know you'll buy one.
I'll buy two. In your 25 years in college basketball.
Yeah, about 25 years. I'm going to do it.
So,
I'm going to do it.
So Manning is one, Ewing is two.
Oh, that's my first two.
All right.
Ewing was terrific. What an intimidator, what he did at Georgetown.
Langford, what a quiet night for him. Buries a 3 here. He's still just 2 for 8. 7 points tonight.
Really has improved his ability to shoot the 3 in the conference play right now. He's been outstanding shooting the 3.
What a lost night, though, for Kansas. They were down 18, 6 minutes in, and they haven't gotten much closer than that at any point. And now, off the fingertips of Hawkins, it'll stay with the Cowboys.
Well, the point that disappoints me, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, it's the way I feel from the minute this game started. I didn't see the kind of energy, the kind of passion that I normally see with a Kansas uniform. Yep. I mean, that program has got such a tradition, man. You think about the greats that have played there and the pride factor. And I didn't see that pride factor. They allowed Oklahoma State just to do anything they wanted early in this game.
Shot clock running down to 5. Lucas's floater, yes.
Mr. Lucas, a PTP, as a frustrated, disappointed Kansas team. They should be angry. And they should want to go back to the gym tomorrow and get those legs going and get the mindset. As they certainly are talented enough to win and compete with people and not be embarrassed here.
Well, they've got a few days to regroup. Their next game is Sunday at Nebraska, and that's a tough place to play. Missouri just went out there and got pounded. And like you said, in this league, I mean, it's tough to win anywhere on the road.
Well, you know, Barry Collier, what a tough job. Nebraska, one of the toughest jobs in America. Did a phenomenal job at Butler, doing a good job there. But unfortunately, week in and week out, you play the likes of Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. See, even there, when I listed all the great teams, you notice how late I was with Oklahoma State? That is the normal perception of people in America, except that of Eskimo Joe's. Eskimo Joe's.
You got ownership in Eskimo Joe's?
No,
you got a free meal coming?
No, they didn't give me anything. Not even a free T-shirt.
Well, Oklahoma State picked 5th by both coaches and the media before the season. And you're right. When you think of the league, the first schools that come to mind are Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas with what Rick Barnes has done, Missouri coming into the season with all the talent they have, Texas Tech since Bob Knight got there. But look at this team that Eddie Sutton has put together. He says he's had more talented teams here than this one.
This works so well together and great point guard play. You mentioned Bob Knight. You know, question anything you want, but don't question him between the lines. He's a genius, just like Mr. Sutton. The job he did to rejuvenate that program at Texas Tech is incredible.
Simeon now with 21 points for Kansas. The rest of the team has 28.
I would just simply tell the general, though, stay away from the salad bar. And understand, when the guy's your boss, you get him a salad. I get you salads, man. You're my boss.
That's the other way
I want
around.
the microphone.
You got me cake. Here's Simeon. Again, Wayne Simeon with 23. Don't fault Wayne Simeon for what's happened here to Kansas tonight.
He's an All-American talent. He really is.
I agree. Lucas dribbling through traffic. Bounce pass. Allen, no. Miller blocked.
Very tough to trap them.
Langford behind the back. Padgett.
Nice trailer. Padgett in a running game.
This is as close as they've been in a while, and Eddie Sutton's going to call a timeout. He's not happy.
Padgett just got to get in a weight room. Get a lot stronger.
Jeff Graves trying to pump up his teammates, trying to convince them they're not quite out of this just yet.
We've seen some dramatic comebacks. You had a 19-point comeback by Stanford against Oregon on the road. Yeah. You had that 24-point comeback we witnessed when Florida State came back against North Carolina. And they told me that some fans, they cheered like crazy when they heard that score.
In Lawrence.
That's
too bad.
That's ridiculous. But, man, what he did for that program for 15 years, those people have to get a life, those that would absolutely be cheering. But you know what I would tell Roy? I would tell Roy, bottom line is, that means they loved you, man.
Yeah,
they loved you.
Let's take a look at our Domino's Pizza game track. 25 points off turnovers for the opportunistic Cowboys tonight. John Lucas, another terrific game. In conference play, you can pretty much mark him down for 20 points, it seems.
He has been absolutely brilliant. He's getting confidence with every game, feeling more comfortable here. I tell you, Lawrence Roberts, you know, what a job he did on Starkville. And under the radar, Mississippi State and Oklahoma State, and I really believe it's location, Stillwater, Starkville, not a lot of media coverage, not a lot of notoriety. Eddie Sutton doesn't care about that. He just wants the W's, man. So does Stansbury.
Well, Stansbury's team came into the week ranked number 6, number 4, and number 5. Number 4 Pittsburgh and number 5 UConn both lost tonight. So in the rankings, the respect is there. Oklahoma State's number 10 right now. Boy, they're letting them play, aren't they? Allen going up strong.
He is very strong physically. Out of Chicago to Windy City, played with Will Bynum. Now doing it down at Georgia Tech, where they got a date with North Carolina tomorrow. Now watch Allen hang around here. Not bad when you got a guard who can rebound like this. Wing player, strong, physical.
Listen to these numbers, Dick, and this guy's a guard, as you mentioned.
He was here by himself. For all you young kids out there, you understand, if you want to be good at something, there's only one way, and that's work, work, and work. This guy's having success because everybody was sleeping, and he was in a gym by himself. I was here. I saw him.
And it's paying off tonight. 15 points and 7 rebounds. Miles with the left hand.
Miles, that super drive, changes from the right to the left hand. Good defensive player. Ranks very high with steals. Tonight, though, the victory has gone to Mr. Lucas.
You know what's amazing in this game? Kansas now has a better field goal percentage than Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State started 9 for 10 tonight.
You got to guard people, though. You got to guard. You got to rebound. There's other parts of the game.
Yeah. There, great play by Miles to steal it on the attempted backdoor feed. David Padgett inside, jump hook, no. Langford flying in for the rebound, keeps it alive, but it goes to the Cowboys.
Got him in hands of the right guy. He's the right guy with the rock in his hands.
Good decision.
What a great environment. We can't emphasize that enough. For you fans, if you ever get a chance in your life, you got to share a game at Allen Fieldhouse, down at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Right here's another great place. Take a little basketball journey.
Yeah. Well,
Dan Schumann will get you tickets.
You've taken a journey this year to some places you haven't been to in a while. Went to Wisconsin, went to Starkville, came here. I mean, some real great environments.
Charlotte, we're going on Thursday.
Sports Center coming up next here on ESPN with Carl Ravitch and Stuart Scott. Among the stories they'll explore, Digger Phelps' contenders and pretenders. A lot of new Yankees this year, and you won't believe what happened to the Philly Fanatic.
Wow, the Philly Fanatic. Hey, by the way, in Charlotte, you didn't join me today at my book signing. Had hundreds of kids there, but you weren't there. You better join me Thursday. I'm on a campus signing at 2 o'clock in Charlotte, right on their campus. Bobby Lute's going to have all those people there buying books, and you better be there. I got you a cake. I got you a cake.
You did.
All I want you to do is get a book for a cake.
I will be there. That's a good trade-off. I will see you Thursday. Not a whole lot of fun for Bill Self.
Coming back home.
Homecoming has not worked out for the Jayhawks.
This is
Welcome back to Stillwater, where Bill Self, the head coach of Kansas, he has certainly seen better days inside Gallagher-Iba Arena from 1982 to 1985. He played for the Cowboys. He was a guard in 1982 as a freshman, a member of the Big Eight. All-freshman team, certainly some success here as well as an assistant coach. 6 years, 4 under Leonard Hamilton, who's now the head coach of Florida State, doing a terrific job down there. And then 3 years as an assistant to Eddie Sutton. In his 7 seasons, they went to 3 NCAAs, 2 NITs as well, guys. But tonight, not one of his better nights here inside this arena, guys.
Now, Doris, I would say so. Kansas down by 19. It's been 3 years since a Kansas team lost by at least 20. Hawkins the miss, rebound. Joey Graham has had a big night.
You know what he said his greatest memory of this place was? While he was an assistant, watching his little girl run around in her cheerleading uniform. He brought back. He's just a beautiful guy. I'll tell you one thing. You can't help to like Bill Self.
In 11 years, he's gone from being an assistant at Oklahoma State to the head coach at Kansas, with stops at Oral Roberts, Tulsa, and then Illinois. I mean, this is the guy, as soon as Roy Williams left for North Carolina, this was the guy everybody targeted as his successor.
Oh, they hated to see him leave Illinois. He won 25 games or more 3 consecutive years. Stepped into tough shoes, man. You're replacing the guy that averaged 28 wins a year. Won a number of conference championships. into the Final Four several times.
12 steals now for Oklahoma State, and now Bobbitt is fouled. I am amazed by the bounce in the step of John Lucas this late in the game, having played as many minutes as he has. He looks like he's just out there having fun, and his dad's feeling the same way.
Well, his dad's having a lot of fun right now. You know, when their season changed and turned around, Eddie Sutton's team lost to BYU. Came back here. You're not going to believe this. I found this out today in talking to the coaching staff. They put helmets on and shoulder pads and practiced for 3 days with football attire. True story. Because he thought they were too weak. They weren't tough enough physically. Eddie Sutton had them wear helmets and shoulder pads in practice. Now, that is incredible.
They have sure shown some toughness in league play. This will be their 8th win in a row. They've won at Texas. They've won at Iowa State. They've still got to go to Oklahoma. They've still got to go to Missouri. So they've still got some big games coming up. But after tonight, they will be in sole possession of first place in the Big 12. Who would have in with 2 more?
Who would have ever thought that Missouri, with the likes of Paulding and Arthur Johnson coming back, would be such a major, major disappointment?
Under 500 in the league, even with all the controversy and the problems they've had in the program, they've still got enough talent that they should be winning more than they're losing.
Well, I think all of that really adds up. Randy Paulding now is gone. I really just think it breaks your spirits, breaks the heart, and it's very difficult to get that kind of energy that's needed to be able to survive against good competition.
Another example of great Oklahoma State balance tonight. All 5 starters are in double figures, led by John Lucas with 21.
And that's what all the great teams. You look at Duke, a lot of balance. You look certainly at Stanford, balance.
Bobbitt.
Nice pass.
McFarlin also
in the right place.
Another thing Duke, Stanford have in common, unselfishness, just like this team.
Always make the extra pass. Always looking for the higher percentage shot. McFarlin, so much of a factor inside. Brings all kinds of experience, rebounds, block shots, scores in the low post. What a tremendous performance by the fans, by everybody, all day long. People were so nice here in Stillwater to us. I got more offers in terms of honey lemon, and that was incredible. Dr. Cooper was great to me, the team doctor.
Jeremy Case, a freshman from McAlester, Oklahoma, has checked into the game for Kansas. Now, the man tonight, and there are a lot of contenders for the Cowboys, but the man tonight again has been John Lucas.
Oh, he's been the man right out of the gate. He set the tone. He set the tempo initially, and Kansas was reeling, and he never, ever been back. Never really made a threat here tonight. Never were competitive. I cannot remember the last game I ever did featuring Kansas where they weren't competitive. Tonight, they were non-competitive.
The last one, just going back through the scores, was 3 years ago in a game at Wake Forest when they got blitzed. Simeon goes out now for Kansas. Miles and Lucas, this was our Star Watch, the 2 point guards, and it has been, as you would say,
an M&M'er
tonight.
It's been a mismatch. Lucas has been the star of stars. They got a nice staff, other than Sean Sutton, though, as well. James Dickey, former head coach down at Texas Tech. He worked with Eddie Sutton at Kentucky. Also on the staff, Mr. Cyprian, who worked at UNLV.
Well, the Jayhawks just looking to get out of here right now as Oklahoma State has to call a timeout. Could not get the ball in. There's Coach Dickey, one of the assistants on Eddie Sutton's staff. And you talk about the respect that his assistant coaches have for Eddie Sutton. They're walking around saying, hey, Eddie Sutton deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's been nominated for induction twice. He has yet to get in. In your mind, does he have Hall of Fame credentials?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I think there's absolutely no doubt. I think, you know, obviously you get to the 800 mark, and that's a lock for the Hall of Fame. But Eddie Sutton will get his moment. You like it to see it to happen to people when they can enjoy it, when they can be part of it, like a Mike Krzyzewski is right now, and like you know with Bob Knight, and certainly John Chaney and Lute Olson, to be able to enjoy it with their families. It always frustrates me. Chick Hearn got in, I guess, last year, but wasn't there to enjoy that moment.
Now, Sports Center is next on ESPN, as you saw, and then at the top of the hour, more basketball coming up out of the Mountain West. It's San Diego State taking on the BYU Cougars, led by Rafael Araujo, who is averaging about 19 points and 10 rebounds per game. I think Bob Carpenter is going to have a lot of fun tonight saying Araujo all night.
Bob Carpenter, he's getting those vocal cords ready for baseball too.
Yeah.
Just like you. Yeah. Spring training right around the corner.
You'll be going to spring training like you always do.
No doubt about it. I just got my tickets, came in the mail from Cincinnati. The Reds go see my guy Griffey. Hope the guy is healthy.
Yeah.
Now you talk about baseball. What about this school? You and I went for a walk in Heritage Hall. We could not believe the Hall of Fame there. And baseball, Robin Ventura is from here.
Yeah, I saw Mike Henneman, Pete Incaviglia. A lot of great players have come through this program.
Wrestling's always very dominant here as well. Certainly football, you think of Thurman Thomas. And what about Barry Sanders?
Look at the scowl, that perpetual scowl. I mean, Coach, you're up 20. The starters are coming out. The reserves are coming in. You got a W, Coach.
He's in a lot of pain, though. He told me that hip area has really been giving him a lot of pain.
McFarlin out, gets a huge round of applause. David Mons, number 32, into the game now for the Cowboys. Lucas is still on the floor, but he'll be coming out, I would guess, at the next whistle to a huge ovation.
You know, Bobbitt does a lot of good stuff and a lot of intangibles as well.
Lucas, step back three.
He forced that one. That was a bad shot. That was a bad shot, but he's entitled to that with a 20-point lead, 1:17 on the clock. He's entitled to take a bad shot.
He has had a big night.
So is he. He's had a big night. It's been a lesson given by the mentor to the pupil.
Yeah, Hank Iba.
Oh, he'd be happy tonight.
And that's the seat where he used to sit and watch practice. After his coaching career was done, he'd come in and watch practice, and that seat is permanently empty and marked in his honor.
Father of defense, was such a teacher, so highly respected by all his peers. It was all Oklahoma State tonight. With the win over Texas at Texas, they certainly are in command, I really believe, in this conference.
They will be 8-1 in the conference. Kansas will fall to 7-2. Texas is 7-1. And again, Oklahoma State, they still got to go on the road to Missouri and to Oklahoma and to Baylor, but they've already got 4 road wins, including the win at Texas. And you're right, they are a team to be reckoned with. Maybe not just in the Big 12. How about nationally as well?
They certainly can create a lot of problems on a national scene because the one factor is they'll defend and they'll execute in a half-court game, which is a must.
Stephen Graham in off the bench. Twin brother with Joey misses a 3. Sports Center next with Stuart Scott and Carl Ravitch here on ESPN. San Diego State, BYU at the top of the hour.
Stuart Scott must have been excited when his Heels won over Wake Forest. He was brokenhearted when they lost to Duke.
David Mons inside getting on the scoreboard.
They think he's going to be a really good player here. First-year player, Mons.
Great speed by Case. Again, an Oklahoma kid out of McAllister. Very talented outside shooter.
Yeah, he can really shoot the perimeter shot. You watch him in practice, he's like automatic.
Well, it's been pretty much automatic for Oklahoma State from the beginning of the game. They led by 18, 6 minutes in, and they're going to walk off with a 20-point win, and the ball in the hands of John Lucas.
Go Pokes, go, baby. It was all Pokes here tonight. All Cowboys, domination. A+ offensively, A+ defensively. John Lucas, star of stars. Not you, John. Not you, John, your son.
Another win for Eddie Sutton. The 8th win in a row for the Cowboys as they beat the Jayhawks by 20 here in Stillwater. For Dick Vitale, Doris Burke, and our crew, I'm Dan Shulman saying so long. Sports Center is coming up next here on ESPN.
This is Sports Center.
Look out, flight number 23. A crowning achievement for King James. The Mavericks shoot for a perfect 10 while Young Guns fire away in Denver. Big East frontrunners hit the road while the Big 12 showdown hits home. But which campus contenders are merely pretending? Is a New York
Barry Jr.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Stillwater, where tonight inside a jam-packed Gallagher-Iba Arena, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, now ranked 10th in the country, put on a show against the 12th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks of Coach Bill Self. You know about Bill and his story, returning home tonight, but the main thing OSU wanted to do was end a Kansas winning streak against the Cowboys. The Jayhawks had won 3 straight, and this was for sole possession of the Big 12 lead at this point. Here's what happened tonight, and I'm telling you, OSU was hot shooting from the start. This was a homecoming for former Oklahoma State star and assistant coach Bill Self, who was on Eddie Sutton's staff for quite some time. It's his first appearance as the Kansas head man, one he will want to forget. because the Cowboys shot the ball incredibly well in the first half. In fact, Tony Allen hit back-to-back threes and had a right to shimmy. The Cowboys hit 9 of their first 10 shots from the field in this game. And the Big 12 Player of the Week, John Lucas, just keeps beating the shot clock. He does that all the time. He had a perfect first half, 14 points on 5 of 5 from the field, including all of his threes. And this summed up Kansas' start. Keith Langford with an air ball. Cowboys go the other way. You won't be able to tell, but trust me, Daniel Bobbick's three banked in off the glass. And what do you do if you're Bill Self? Well, he got a technical late in the first half out of frustration. The Cowboys were up by 19 points on 2 different occasions. How about the big slam by Joey Graham? And OSU went into the locker room leading 44-26 at the half, and it would get worse quickly in half number 2. Lucas again on the left wing right in front of his teammates hit another 3, and the Cowboys were ahead by 23. OSU has never trailed in this game. Don't blame it on Wayne Simeon, though. The Kansas Star has matched his jersey number and then some with a lot of points tonight and a lot of slams, but the Cowboys have done everything right. Ivan McFarlin with the layup, and OSU is on their way to leading the Big 12 by themselves with their 8th straight win. They're 8-1 in conference play after the rout of Kansas. The final score was 80-60. All 5 OSU starters scored in double figures, led by John Lucas with 21. Tony Allen had 17. And the Cowboys get ready for a game against Baylor on Valentine's Day, knowing that they lead the Big 12 at 8-1. We're back with more sports right after this.
80-60 over the Kansas Jayhawks, and we are joined by a very proud father here right now, John Lucas. What a great game for John tonight.
Yeah, it was. I thought John did a very good job. I thought the whole team played well. I've seen them play better. They turned the ball over a little bit too much, but that's a good win. Kansas plays a lot of good defense.
John's playing with so much confidence right now. Have you talked to him about what the upside is for this team? They've had a tremendous role right now.
I'm a parent. You know, Eddie Sutton, I think, is one of the greatest coaches there. He's done a great job with John. He's got his team playing defense, and I'm just blessed that John could be here and be a part of the Cowboy family.
You got to be happy with the choice of Oklahoma State.
A very good choice for him, and he liked it, and I'm glad that Coach Sutton and Sean and Coach Dickey and Coach Simp and all of their coaches wanted him here.
All right, thanks, John. We appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
John Lucas, former NBA player, NBA coach, and father of John Lucas here for the Cowboys. OSU 80, Kansas 60. Cowboys now first place in the Big 12. We'll send it back to Brenton studio.
Thanks a lot, Mark.